Hello there everyone, this is your host TrevCL and welcome to another Pokemon Challenge video. Today we'll be answering the question, can you beat Pokemon HeartGold with only a Regigigas? Regigigas is an interesting Pokemon for sure. At a first glance you would think this would be the easiest challenge in the world. A legendary Pokemon with a base stat total of 680? But just digging a little deeper, you'll see that the ability it has, Slow Start, is probably the worst ability in Pokemon history. For the first 5 turns in battle, Regigigas will have both its speed and attack stats halved. Not the space stats, but the actual stats themselves. This roughly gives it the power and speed of an invested Beldum, which given our last challenge doesn't bode too well. And because Game Freak just really wanted to screw it over, it doesn't even learn Protect or Rest. However, its base 110 HP and defensive stats give it the bulk to live 5 turns most of the time. And while 80 special attack isn't amazing, the fact that it isn't halved like attack gives it another option in desperate times. Now it's time for the rules. We're going in with the same 3 rules we usually do. Only using Regigigas in battle, no item use in battle except for the use of held items, and no hacks/cheats/glitches besides the initial acquiring of Regigigas. I will also be using a program that will allow me to check the IVs of my Regigigas, but will not be using it to change any of them. Comment below where you think it's possible. Even with slow start calculations factored in, Regigigas still has the base stats of a fully evolved Pokemon. The only potentially impossible fight I could see is Red at the end, but I do have some ideas when we get there. When we open the game, I grab my Regigigas and start the journey. I did reset a few times to get a favorable nature and halfway decent IVs. At this point in the journey, I only roughly knew the IVs, but for your viewing pleasure, I'll be displaying them on screen for the entirety of the video. We start out with 4 moves already, one of which is Dizzy Punch, a 70 base power stab move. And while our attack is halved, that still makes us stronger or at least on par with everything in the early game. We easily trounce our rival, and before we know it, we're already at the first gym. While stronger than his Gen 2 counterpart, Falkner is still the easiest first gym leader in the franchise. One strategy you might notice me doing is stalling the 5 turns of Slow Start out against a weak starting Pokemon and being full power against the rest of his team. Using this strategy, we soar past Falkner with over half our HP remaining. After working our way through Union Cave and taking out Team Rocket and Slowpoke well, it's time to take on Bugsy. This battle is actually on the closer side. He straight up leads with his ace Pokemon Scyther and starts with a Focus Energy followed by a crit U-turn, doing well over half our HP. That is good, however, as U-turn forces him to go out into another Pokemon, his Metapod. We use this opportunity to stall out for a little bit, and once 5 turns are up, we finish off the Metapod. Even with our stats back to normal, Scyther still outspeeds, but luckily he only uses Focus Energy as we take both it and Kakuna out to win our second gym badge. We then fight our rival once again, but it actually causes us our first reset of the run. This is due to his Ghastly using Curse the first time, which is an omen for battles later on in the run. The second run goes much smoother with Ghastly not going for a Curse this time, netting us the victory. Next up is Goldenrod City and the dreaded Whitney, who is actually a complete joke in this run. I thought that since I didn't really grind before this battle, I would have trouble, but I pulled the classic turnstile strategy against her lead Clefairy, and her Miltank goes down in just 2 shots, leaving me sitting pretty with 3 badges down. To be perfectly honest, I had kinda zoned out for this part of the run, and when I regained my focus I was already on my way to Ecruteak City. I didn't even remember beating Whitney. Someone who would make me remember a battle, however, was my rival, Razor. My 3rd battle against him would prove to be my toughest yet. If I took too many turns against his lead Ghastly, it would use Curse, which was an instant reset. And his next up, Bayleaf, knew both Reflect and Poison Powder, slowly wearing me down as I couldn't do much back. I attached a Pecha Berry to help me with the poison, and on my 6th try, I get a lucky run where I go damageless through his first 3 Pokemon. Despite this, Magnemite still almost takes me out due to poor luck with Confusion and Paralysis. I break out just in time to beat him on what was probably my last turn to do so. And straight after that is another one of the tougher battles. And no, I'm not talking about Morty. Enter Chandler Georgina. Why is she so tough? Well, I have to rely on a weak 20 base power move, Knockoff, to hit her Ghastlys. Despite being super effective and her Ghastlys being nearly 10 levels lower than me, I cannot kill them in 1 hit. And they know Curse. And there's 5 of them. So yeah, now you can see why this random trainer is the bane of my existence. The only reason I beat her without seriously grinding is because I happen to have odd HP, leaving me with 1 HP left as I finally defeat her last Ghastly. And you think that if the first battle was this hard, how hard is the rest of the gym? Actually, not too bad. Morty took a few resets, but as soon as I get a run where he doesn't use Curse, I win easily. And now we're 50% of the way done with the Johto Gym Challenge. You would think that since the next gym leader, Chuck, uses fighting types, he would be our toughest challenge yet. But since his fighting type move of choice is Focus Punch, all we need to do is attack as we dispatch of both his Primeape and Poliwrath for our 5th gym badge. Now, if you remember how tough Jasmine was in the Unknown Only run, in Crystal, she's even more annoying here. Her Magnemites will always try to paralyze and confuse me, and her Thunderbolts do about a quarter of my health. The RNG is the most annoying part of this battle. Luckily, at level 25, we had learned Revenge, a base 60 power fighting move that doubles in power if you've taken damage that turn. And as we're always paralyzed, we'll often be hitting that double power. On my 7th and winning attempt, I'm able to get past both the Magnemites with 70 health left. I get lucky getting Steelix to hit itself in confusion twice, and by the time it gets an Iron Tail off, I'm able to fire back with the full power of Revenge, winning me the fight by a slim margin. While difficult, that fight wasn't nearly as bad as I thought. I breezed through the Lake of Rage part of the story and make my way to Price. He should have been easy, but his Piloswine has a Snow Cloak ability, giving it some evasion and hail. I'm looking to be in great shape on my first try, except then I missed 3 moves in a row to lose. Okay, no way that happens again. Alright, second try. Seal goes down easily and we're back to the Piloswine. I'll definitely take it down now that I take a Blizzard in. Are you serious? Really? This has to be the worst RNG I've experienced in the span of 2 battles ever. I'm just glad that I unthawed as my slow start ended, giving me a narrow victory over his final Dugong. Damn man. Price was supposed to be the easy one. This run is as wacky as Regigigas itself. The only notable thing that happens during the Team Rocket Goldenrod takeover is that my Regigigas finally gets the only appropriate name for it. Exodia, the Forbidden One. Think about it. You need 5 cards to summon Exodia. You need 5 turns to summon full power Regigigas. While you guys ponder over my brilliant name for Regigigas, we've already sped through Declare, the final gym leader, and she's a nightmare. Unlike in the original game, she leads off with a Gyarados that knows Dragon Rage, so my attack is now basically -3 and we're taking massive damage. The only reason I was able to beat her in a reasonable amount of attempts without grinding is because I got incredibly lucky. Her Gyarados is only able to get 2 Dragon Rages off, her first Dragonair dies in 1 hit, as I've now unlocked my full potential. It still would have been a loss, but her Kingdra misses a Hydro Pump and only uses Smokescreen on the second turn, as she's now only left with her final Dragonair. I miss my Strength and get T-Waved, but on the second turn I'm able to break through, one-shotting with Strength, netting me my 8th and last gym badge in the Johto region. If this were the original games, I would be able to go straight to the Pokemon League to try and become the champion. However, in the remakes, you're forced to do a quest ending in a final showdown with either Lugia or Ho-Oh, depending on your version. Another difference is that you first fight the Kimono girls here instead of earlier in the story. And this is my worst nightmare for a playthrough like this. They each have a level 38 evolution and you have to fight them 5 in a row to pass their trial. No healing or saving in between, and 1 faint sends you right back to the beginning. If it was 1 trainer with 5 Pokemon, this would be incredibly easy. But Regigigas really isn't going to get a chance to ever go into its full potential, as by then the battle would be over either way. Unless I can find a different strategy, I'm going to have to go at least 10 levels over with grinding, which would greatly slow down my progress right before the ending of the Johto portion. But what if I told you that there's a strategy that allows me to one-shot everything except for the Umbreon that requires very little grinding? Remember at the beginning when I mentioned that our special attack is not cut in half like our attack? So I need a strong enough special move and item combo that gives me the power to one-shot everything except for the Umbreon. Well, lucky enough for us, Hyper Beam is easily purchasable from the Goldenrod department store, and for one of the few times in the entire franchise, the item Choice Specs is easily attainable through a normal story run. This will lock us into Hyper Beam, but the 50% boost plus the insane stab power should mean that that's not a factor. It still takes a few runs and some levels, but I eventually get past the Umbreon with Revenge and taking minimal damage. And the Espeon, Flareon, Jolteon, and finally Vaporeon are all one-shots with Hyper Beam. That was arguably the most draining section of the game, but we are finally able to fight Ho-Oh as it falls prey to 2 Specs Hyper Beams. Unfortunately, that does it for our good pal Hyper Beam, but don't cry now that it's over. Smile because it happened. With that Ho ordeal out of the way, it's time to trek towards the Pokemon League. The only notable battle on the way there is our last rival battle. While I'm not able to win on the first try, I'm able to scrape by thanks to him cursing, allowing me to KO his Haunter with a weak Avalanche. And we've reached the lead. I'm feeling pretty good about our chances, but I might need to be a little bit stronger for Lance. Other than that, it's time to give our best shot. And honestly, what a shot it is. I don't think you'll ever see such a dominant Elite Four run in any other challenge. All 4 battles only take 1 try. Will threatens me for a little while, but it's over once 5 turns pass. Koga literally does 0 damage to me, and Bruno, despite using mostly fighting types, doesn't even get me to yellow health. Karen nearly does force a reset, but I KO her Vileplume on the turn I'm about to die to curse. And it's finally time for Lance. I do make a small moveset change for the battle. I give Regigigas Thunder of a revenge for his Gyarados. With that move in hand, the battle begins. And I immediately get triple flinched and crit by his lead Gyarados. Fantastic start, truly. My third attempt is my best attempt, as I'm able to Thunder KO his Gyarados and take an Outrage to one-shot his Ace Dragonite. I even get lucky enough to dodge his next Dragonite's Thunder, allowing me to 2-hit KO with Avalanche in return. A major problem shows up, however, as I can't fate his next Dragonite with a single return. Avalanche could have done the trick, but since it always goes last with its negative priority, I would have died first. This problem persists, and after another dozen attempts or so, I realize I can't beat Lance with my current set, so I decide to make a change. I'm getting rid of Avalanche in front of Ice Punch, which Regigigas can relearn with a Heart Scale, luckily. Avalanche is more useful with Slow Start is active, but since I'm planning to stall out some turns with the Gyarados, I think Ice Punch will suit the set much better. Even with this change, and being 4 levels higher this time around, he still takes about a dozen tries or so. I consistently get past his first 4 Pokemon, only to get finished off by either his Charizard or his final Aerodactyl. Even holding a Silk Scarf, Return is a roll not in my favor at all against the Zard, and Aerodactyl can both tank a Thunder and outspeed to finish me off. I finally get an attempt where I both stall out the 5 turns and get past the Gyarados with half my health left. I kill all 3 of his Dragonites with a single Ice Punch each, leaving just his dreaded Charizard and Aerodactyl. His Zard once again lives the return and hits me for a chunk with Air Slash. He heals as I'm about to get the range and able to take him out this time. Now I'm in a range where I can live a hit, but Thunder is far from guaranteed to hit or even kill the Aerodactyl. He goes for Rock Slide as I avoid the flinch. Thunder connects, and finally, the HP bar drops to nothing as I've defeated Lance with a now level 58 Regigigas. I knew he would easily be possible, but I thought I'd have to be in at least the 60s. With that, our Regigigas officially enters the Pokemon Hall of Fame. If you've played the game before, you'll know that the game is far from over, however. I will give Game Freak credit that the Kanto section is harder and higher level than it was originally, but still the only gym leader that's a challenge is the final one, Blue. So that's the only one I'll be covering in this run. But even he's relatively simple due to Reggie now being level 72 and picking up the leftovers from a Snorlax earlier. His Exeggutor is tricky because Trick Room can flip the speed around on me, but turn stalling allows me to both stall the Trick Room and get rid of my slow start. Despite having double Intimidate to lower my amazing attacking power, my bulk plus leftovers combo is just too great to overcome, so my second try against him is my successful one, and now it's finally time for the main challenge, Pokemon Trainer Red. This is the one battle I had wondered throughout would be even possible, as his Pokemon received a big buff in this remake. They're all 7 levels higher than in the original. He's now got a tanky Lapras instead of the Glass Cannon Espeon, and Hail constantly negates my leftovers recovery. So I decided to level up to level 82, grab the 18 rare candies that I can, and head up to the Mount Silver Peak. I decided to give it a try at level 90 first, just the scout, and I get way further than I thought I would, almost taking down his 4th Pokemon Lapras. I use the remaining 10 rare candies and start grinding attempts. And well, it's actually quite the easy battle. On my 4th attempt at level 100, everything goes in my favor. Pikachu will always go for an insanely powerful Volt Tackle, so I'm left with a little more than half health as I take it out. Next up is Blastoise, who chooses to hit me with 2 blizzards as I put it in full restore range. On my final turn of slow start, I dodge a focus blast that probably would have killed and crit to kill his Blastoise. I'm still in hot water, so to speak, but I'm able to get past his Lapras with a Rock Slide flinch. Charizard gets crushed by Rock Slide just as planned, and I'm already at his final Pokemon, Venusaur. I click return as his HP goes down slowly, and when it stops, I have beaten Pokemon HeartGold with only a single Regigigas. I'm both relieved and disappointed Red was actually pretty easy. I probably didn't need to be level 100, but I thought that I would at least have to use a different tactic than spam return and Rock Slide. Although I did have some backup plans, but I guess I didn't need those in the end. Either way, this was an extremely fun run. A lot of the usually tough battles like Red and Whitney were a lot easier, but there were some battles that came out of nowhere like Chandler, Georgina, and the Kimono girls. But regardless, I want to thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. I really recognize all the support I've gotten so far, and any more support for the future I will greatly appreciate. Tune in next time as I try my most ambitious challenge yet, a solo Ghastly run in Pokemon Yellow with not only minimum battles, but minimum experience. See you guys then!